Hey guys, Mr. Tweet here. Let's talk about these four factors of production. The first one, land, where a lot of students get hung up is they think of the word land meaning like real estate, like the ground. Um, in economics, land means any kind of, not anything that comes from the ground. So, like any resources that go into production. And it doesn't have to be in its raw form either. So, if we're talking about if we're talking about like a car that's being made, right? If that's the thing being produced as a car, well, you could be like, oh, like, rubber coming from rubber trees or whatever, right? Like that's land. But even like, if we have, rubber that's been vulcanized, processed, however they do that, and it's like, in its whatever pre-tire rubber form, that's land. Um, it's been shaped into tires, that's land. Like once the tires go on the car, now it's a thing, it's no longer like a resource, so it's not land anymore. But like the whole way there, it's land. um so if we're talking about like, a hamburger, well, the cow is land, right? But even after it's been processed and turned into ground beef is still land. Once it's been cooked and made into a hamburger, then it's a thing. It's a hamburger. It's a product, or it's a good. But until it gets to that final place, then it's gonna, the stuff is gonna be land. um, Labor is whenever human beings are doing something. So labor is always going to be work that's done, and it's going to be a verb, because it's being done. So like, right now I'm screencasting. That's work that's being done by someone. That's labor. The time that I'm spending grading and putting that stuff in, that's labor. Now, the skills and knowledge that I have, that's not labor. That's something else we're going to talk about in a second. But like when I'm actually doing work, right? Like verbing, that's labor. Now, capital comes in two flavors. The first one is physical capital, and physical capital is tools and machinery. It's like permanent things that helps turn land into something else. So, like a tractor is physical capital, a hammer is physical capital. The computer I'm using right now to record this, that's physical capital. Um, the things that get used over and over again. Now, like the electricity that's making my computer run, that's getting used up in the production. That's land, right? So the electricity, because it gets used up in the process, is land. But the computer, when I can record again and again and again and again and again and again, that would be physical capital, a tool that's used over and over and over again. Now, human capital is one that oftentimes throws students off because they think of labor when they get an example, but it's really human capital. Human capital is any kind of training or experience that makes labor more valuable, right? So, like, the years of the teacher training program that I went to, right? That helped make me a better teacher, where my labor became more valuable, right? Student teaching, like when I spent a semester, right, working for free, gaining experience so that I knew better what to do when I was a teacher, right? 16 years experience as a teacher makes my labor more valuable, right? It's one of the key points that's kind of like bigger than the AP test, bigger than this lesson, that hopefully you're beginning to kind of like get those wheels turning, right? It's your human capital that determines how valuable your labor is. The more skills and experience you have, right, the more valuable your labor is, especially if there's skills or if it's experience that people find valuable, right? If you don't have human capital, your labor is worth like $10 an hour, right? That if If I wanted to have someone do a job and I didn't care what kind of skills or experience they had, I could hire someone for what we call minimum wage, right? And that's minimum wage workers. They don't have the skills or experience to be able to command higher wages. But the more experience you have, the more training you have, it makes your labor more valuable, right? So that you could grab any person off the street and you can throw them in front of a computer and you could start recording and you could say, hey, teach these kids about economics. And you grab almost anybody out there and it is going to be a disaster because they don't know. They don't know the economics. They don't have the understanding, right, to be able to teach it, right? They don't even understand it themselves. And they don't have the skills to teach others. They don't know what to do to help other people learn. So you grab anybody off the street, throw them in front of a computer, say, teach some economics, you're going to get like, $10 piece of crap. So what you're going to get, right? But, right, you take me, who's got years of experience and training and, has gone through, all kinds of trial and error, trying to figure out the best ways to teach this stuff. And what you get is you get a $90,000 package. And that's why I get paid that, is because of the skills and experience I had. And if I had different skills and different training, I could command even more as my salary, right? Like if I had really steady hands and years of experience, right, as a surgeon, I could command $500,000 a year, right, or more, depending on what type of surgeries I did and how much experience and training I had. So that's human capital, right? It's the experience and training that we bring to our labor that makes it more or less valuable. Now, the last factor of production is the most abstract, and that's entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is this kind of this ability to bring together resources and to have a vision to make things happen and an ability to take risk. So entrepreneurs are usually people who have kind of two main qualities. Number one, they're not afraid of risk at all, right? They'll take what they have and they're going to try to see if it works, and who knows, right? I mean, Jeff Bezos founded Amazon. He told his parents the most likely outcome was that they would lose all the money that they were investing in him, right? But he wanted to risk it. And he talked his parents and some other people into giving him some money to start his business, and it was wildly successful. So they made a lot of money, right? So entrepreneurs take risks. And then the other thing that entrepreneurs do is they don't necessarily themselves have the idea. A lot of times we think of entrepreneurs as inventors. Usually that's not the case. Usually inventors are just curious people who want to see if that idea they have is going to work out, and they really have no idea how to make money off of it. Entrepreneurs know how to bring together the resources to make money, right? To turn a profit, right? Entrepreneurs are usually not driven by wanting to see their idea become reality. Entrepreneurs are usually driven by profits, that they want to make money. And oftentimes they'll take other people's ideas and they'll get rich off of them. A great example of this is Bill Gates. Bill Gates has made, billions of dollars off of the Windows operating system that, when I was younger, there was all kinds of different companies making PCs, and they ran off of a program called DOS, and it was really complicated and really hard. If you didn't know, computers, computers were nearly impossible unless you were a computer person. And then Bill Gates put Windows on home PCs, and it was easy, and you could point and click and use a mouse, and it was intuitive, and he didn't invent that, right? Xerox actually invented Windows, and they didn't know what to do with it, right? They had this product that they had invented. Nobody knew what to do with it. Bill Gates saw Windows and was like, that is a $1 billion idea. And he bought it for almost nothing from Xerox, and he put it on PCs, and he becomes a billionaire, right? Himself, not necessarily, he knew a ton about computers, and he's a genius, brilliant guy, all of that good stuff. But ultimately, entrepreneurs, not always inventors, but they are risk takers, and they bring resources together to make a profit. So those are your factors of production. That entrepreneurship, the most abstract one. That human capital is oftentimes confused for labor. Remember, if it's a verb, it's going to be labor. If it's like a noun that indicates some sort of training or experience, that's going to be your human capital, right? Teacher is a title bestowed upon me that describes my years of training and experience that makes my labor more valuable. And then remember, land doesn't just mean like the ground we walk on. It's any natural resources are going to fall into land. So anyways, hope that helped. Hope that clarified a few things. And see you guys in a little bit.